I believe I'm online. I know I'm here in person because I'm talking. I'm seeing all you people here. Welcome and thank you again, Peter, today for sharing with us. That was a great message. And thank you for all joining us on this. Well, it's not a formal congregational meeting. We are postponing the formal meeting till a later point in the year. As you can imagine, it's just a bit difficult to do the formal things we would do normally. It's been a bit of a strange year. But it was important to get together today as a congregation, so we'll call it a congregational information session. And we'll do the formalities a little bit later on. So I'm standing in for Jeff. Jeff is our church council chairman, and he's a little unwell today, so he did the right thing and he stayed at home, so I'm filling in. So the main purpose of us getting together today is to talk about the budget. Rob Day, who's our treasurer, and the business committee have put the budget together. Again, challenging period to put that together when things are so unpredictable. They presented that to Church Council last week, and we endorsed that budget, and today we're here to put it to the congregation. And we will seek your endorsement of that budget later so we can continue on what we're doing. As I said, we'll do a formal congregational meeting later in the year to finish that off. Now, we are going to go through this document. If you're here in the building, you have it. If you're online, you might have seen a link in the e-newsletter that you received this week. So quickly go to your computer and you can download it. But Rob is going to speak to this document, and I might ask him to join us right now. Rob, would you like to come and speak to the budget? Thank you.
Okay. Good. Thank you, John. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session. Just looking at the hardcore here, Phil, they're all accountants, so this is going to be quite interesting. And hello to Jeffrey and to Woodstock and to Parks, if you're that's my family. If you're watching in. As John said, at the tail end of the e-newsletter on Thursday was this little document there. It was a test to see who actually gets to the end of their e-news, and you would have found this nice little surprise. And you've had a few days just to look through what we're going to talk about. And essentially, it's good news. I am going to try very hard in the next 10 minutes to not use the words unprecedented or challenging, because we're all over all of that. So I'm going to rather describe what we'll be talking about as interesting. If I look at for the first slide there, thanks, we talk about where we are in an income sense. It is always a pleasure, I think, to produce the numbers that we have, particularly in relation to the offerings, particularly the period we've just come through. And the way I've set it out, for those of you who've seen this before, the actual budget that we will be looking at is the blue column on the far right, and the yellow column is the actual numbers of where we finished up last year. And the white column is the budget for last year. And I can say with a great deal of gratefulness that our offerings last year increased by over 13% on the prior year, and that was over 3% more than we'd actually budgeted for. And as I've said many times here, that really sets us up for the whole program, implementing the vision that we have for TUC. Going forward is going to be a little trickier. If you believe the Federal Treasurer, and we are now in recession, things are going to get a little tougher. We don't know how deep that recession might be or how long it might go. But the only thing we can be sure about is that it will affect everybody. And that's whether you have a job or you're trying for a job, or at the other end of the spectrum, you are relying on investment income to live. Those of you who've been trying to negotiate good deposit rates on fixed terms will come away fairly disappointed, and we're even at the stage in the next round of company announcements that a lot of companies are foregoing dividends, even the banks that many people have relied upon. So things are going to get a little tougher. And with that sort of background, Management Committee felt it was prudent to not budget for an incremental increase into the budget year. So we'll be holding the planned offerings as flat. And you can see from the pie chart on the next slide, thanks Mike, a picture often makes it a little clearer for people to see. You can see the offerings are a major component of our overall income. That's the blue bit, and the red bit is the property income, which is also important. And you will not be surprised to know that our property income in the year just past was down by 24% versus projections because we were closed for four of the months. It's difficult to know when we will be able to open fully again. A number of our hirers, facility hirers, are starting to trickle back, but it's fair to say that these are generally the smaller folk, the ballet groups, the Pilates, not the large concert hirers, the choirs that fill this place, because it's just not economic on the configuration we have here for them to do that. And so prudently we're looking to hold the projected income from property flat again. The one new item in this year's actuals, of course, is the announcements by the federal government in relation to JobKeeper. And this is the last line in the yellow column, the $30,000 line. We were able to get all four of our employees enrolled in JobKeeper. We did that for the months of April, May and June, as our overall income had declined by a sufficient amount to render us eligible. And the way JobKeeper works is that we are always reimbursed, so reimbursed 1 month later from our payments to our employees. And so in the yellow column, we've made 3 months of payments, but we've only received 2 back. So in the budget year, there'll be 4 reimbursements from the federal government. The other thing I should say is that in the light of the Treasurer's announcements this week, and it was timely with announcing the extension of JobKeeper, we do actually have to requalify for the JobKeeper payment, and we have to do it twice. So the qualification we have now falls away at the end of September, and we have to requalify for the 4th quarter of this year and the 1st quarter of next year. Now, certainly the feeling of the Management Committee is that we cannot, with the degree of certainty that I would like to be able to incorporate into budget, say that we will qualify. And so the budget assumes that our JobKeeper allowance actually terminates at the end of September. So that's on the income side of things. If I could just slip over to the next slide, Mike. Thanks on the expenses. Again, a few things didn't quite happen as planned in the last year. You will recall we talked at the equivalent meeting last year about engaging an additional part-time ordained resource for particularly looking after some of the more senior folk with a pastoral care responsibilities and particularly trying to bridge a lot of the community organisations. Church Council put together the program for that, went to Presbytery, got a tick, and then the pandemic hit. And I think everybody took a deep breath and they said, well, can we, with complete confidence, assume that we can fund an additional resource going forward? And we decided that we just didn't know enough with the certainty we would require to be able to do that. Engaging an employee, an incremental employee, is much different from, buying a piano or new computer, because you're dealing with someone's lives, you're dealing with their family lives, they may be relocating, and that's a commitment for at least 5 years. And unless you've got that sort of certainty, you really can't, in good conscience, engage a particular individual. However, with the numbers that we have this year and the numbers projected in the budget, we have, with some degree of confidence and much holding of breath, included that resource in this year's budget, effective from the 1st of January. So it's there, it's in the budget, it's costed. It's a question of now looking for that resource. If you look down right at the bottom of the expenses sheet there, you'll see something you probably haven't seen, certainly in TUC for at least 20 years, and it's called reserves. We haven't had one of these for, certainly in my time here. No one in Church Council has seen something like this, but it's a function of the extra level of offerings that supported the incremental minister hire, plus the federal government's JobKeeper money, plus we've actually had some savings in this building being closed. We haven't had electricity costs or heating or whatever to the same level. So that's all flowed through to the bottom line, and we've been able to put $45,000 of that cash to one side, and we've marked it reserves for future capital expenditures and projects. And I'm sure Phil would like to add another word to that. I'm going to suggest dreams. I hope that's all right, Phil. You can text me if that's not right, what your word would be. But the onus will be on Church Council to invest that money wisely. What I said to them on Tuesday night, this is a one-off. This is a one-off. So wherever it goes, it needs to make maximum hit. So in terms of this year's bottom line, given that we're going neutral on offerings, we're going neutral on property income, we're not assuming JobKeeper extension beyond September. We have paid off all of our debt, so we went into the pandemic in as good a shape as we probably could have expected to do. We think we should be able to generate a further $10,000 towards reserves and have a modest cash operating surplus beyond that. I think I can only add, in commending this to you, the grateful thanks of Management Committee and Church Council for the support that we have received over this year at a time when it's been strange, it's been different. And the fact that our community, as wide as it is, has been able to support us at this time is very, very encouraging, and we express our thanks for that. The other one, I have one bit of good news for you that just came in on Friday. We finally, after months of negotiating with the NBN, and this is mainly Phil, it's driven him nuts and sent him grey, they've now agreed where we're actually located. And for $300 we are going to get a fibre connection to the pulpit. And that will improve everything in terms of where the streaming goes, all of the internet facilities within the church, and that's a great effort from the part of Phil.
Well, thanks, Rob. It has been a challenging year for Rob and the business committee, and I'd like to say, Rob, thank you, and the business committee, because there's a fair bit of uncertainty around, and you guys have navigated the process pretty well. And praise God for our budgetary position. As Rob said, we've carried this vision the last couple of years, and a big part of that has been a new ministerial resource. And as Rob said, we've got it to that point of approval. The presbytery has approved our plan. And we're just pausing while things settle out over the rest of this year. But we are ready to flick the switch. And I must say again, thank you to everyone for the generosity of your giving and the buying into this vision. We are a community going forward, and that's all you people. And I do thank you for everyone here in the building and everyone online for being a part of that as we go forward together. So, I'd like to give you the opportunity to ask any questions. So, online you may, and Heather's monitoring those online, and anyone here in the building, happy to take any questions, and I'll probably get Rob if we need to answer those. Is there anyone who'd like to ask anything? Heather, anything happening online? Okay. As we mentioned, the information is all in that guide, which you'll find online. But at this point, I'd like to suggest we could vote on this. Again, it's an endorsement of the budget that we can carry forward as a church council. With you as you came in to the building today, if you're here, you might have received these cards. If you haven't, go and grab them. If you're online, I want you to participate in the process as well by simply saying a yes or a no in your comments field on Facebook. Sorry, Facebook comments, whatever you do online. Sorry, I'm not a Facebook kind of guy. But please participate in the vote as well. So I guess the motion is, do you, the congregation, endorse the budget that Rob and the Business Committee has put forward with the Church Council? If you do, the response you would do is hold up this orange card, which is a warm response that says, yes, I approve. Please, listen, here in the building, I'll report that we've got a very positive, warm response. And we will take note of the online responses that come in. While we're just giving time for those responses to come through, I would like to thank, again, the Business Committee for the work they've done. And they've been a lot of work this year, processing all those JobKeeper applications and just trying to understand everything. Working with the people who hire our facility, that's been a challenge as well. So thank you to Sue in the office, who has worked really hard, and Heather, and that subcommittee of people who are dealing with all the COVID-safe plans, and just all the communication that's been going on has been quite amazing. So thank you to all those people involved. All right, so Heather, anything further to report? I think online we have a very positive response to our budget as well. So I want to thank you all for staying. I don't believe there's any other business unless somebody has a late question. No, I don't have any late questions here. So I think at this point I'll call this information session closed. And we'll say thank you to everyone here, thank you to everyone online, thank you to Peter for the message today, and may it be a blessed day for us all. Thank you.